While many are content to celebrate independence on this day, we know what these vapid displays conceal. Our people are not independent. Our destiny is shackled to 100 competing nations imported to this soil, bringing with them countless incompatible interests. Our homeland has been turned into a squalid arena of profiteers and invaders, overseen by a spineless cast of traitorous politicians. We wish for sovereignty and liberty which cannot coexist with the conditions that have been forced upon us. A quarter millennia has now passed since America's violent birth, and nothing I can say will glorify independence more than the blood of our forebears that stains this continent, consecrating it forever with the immortal legacy of the men who died for so noble an objective as sovereignty. So we stand on the turning of an age and the making or breaking of our nation's destiny, and we must ask ourselves, under the watchful gaze of history, what is to be done? So dire is our circumstance, so extreme is our condition of peril, that the only way to secure our existence is to become all that we aspire to be. A defeated people was cast into this pit of a century, yet a nation exalted above all the rest will climb out of it. This is our task. Our national independence was seized by a natural aristocracy of our people, by the best of our Anglo-Saxon blood, waging war against tyranny to restore their ancient rights, not solely for themselves, but to bequeath it to their people and their posterity beyond that. Now, regime after regime, tainted with corruption, has wrestled this sovereignty away piece by piece and placed it in the hands of the few and the foreign. Our liberty as Americans is squandered upon the unassimilable masses. They know not how to use it, and we are done trying to teach them. While the state has spent priceless years and countless fortunes attempting to educate and civilize our ethnic replacements, true Americans have been not merely left behind, but subjected to endless abuse, unbefitting the heirs of this continent. The men of our nation, their hearts and minds and virtues are the safest place within which to secure the ultimate power of government, yet neither do our people hold this power, nor are they yet capable of wielding it justly. If we want our country back, we cannot merely speak of policy. We cannot just propose change. We must first impose it upon ourselves. You may read our policy on the calluses of our hands, the scars on our backs, and the sweat of our brow. The future belongs to the men with iron in their blood and patriotism in their heart. We may not look to America's military might, its material wealth, or its depth of natural resources for our shield against subjugation. All this and more has been turned against us, fueling the flames of corruption and disunity. No, it is in our people that we must look. That fealty for liberty that rests only within the blood and spirit of the race which created America and sustains it still, in this and none other lies our salvation. I could list the enemies of our salvation. From the Jewish cabals to the Mexican cartels, from the African criminals to the homosexual peddlers of vice and exploitation. But I would not desanctify this day further with their description. Their conduct is set, their fates are written. This day is for Americans. It is on our shoulders that the fate of the nation rests. It is our deeds which will bring justice and prosperity. It is our identity which must be reclaimed. We are American, not by edict or ideal, but by blood. Our nation is our creed. Tyranny is so entrenched, corruption is so widespread that we harbor no thought that we will save this nation without America's enemies offering us chance after chance to prove our conviction with deed and action. Wisely, we do not wish for ease in our conquest, and bravely we do not ask for it a lesser task but to fall into lesser men. We wish for nothing less and nothing short than a revolution, a time of vast change and an outlook of undaunted courage towards the future. The vice that has infested our land will be expunged. The foreigners which have invaded our land will be expelled, and the Americans, who have so long suffered the fate of a defeated people, will be saved. We endeavor ceaselessly to reforge the lives of men, to steel them to their purpose, and awaken within them the strength to do what this era demands of them. On this day once more, louder than ever, we declare our resistance as a promise to our people and a challenge to our foes. We renew our pledge upon the altar of this sacred day of eternal hostility against all that which threatens the existence of our people. For the life of our nation! For the liberty of our people! For the victory of the American spirit! Life! Liberty! Victory! Life! Liberty! Victory! Life! Liberty! Victory!
What is up, fellas, and welcome to another episode of PolitiGoob with me, the Goob. What a fucking epic speech that is. I have listened to it every single day since the 4th. I've been kind of a very passive supporter of Patriot Front since their existence. I've always defended them against the cries of them being feds, but I honestly didn't know much about them. All I really knew about them was their marches. I didn't even know the name Thomas Rousseau until July 4th. Since then, I have been listening to a lot of what he has to say, and to say that I am impressed would be a massive understatement. I very strongly encourage everyone to go listen to him yourself. He seems to be able to understand the world in a very similar way that I do, which is extremely impressive on its own. Not many people seem to be able to grasp reality that well. And on top of that, he is all of the qualities that a strong leader needs, he has. He is 27 years old. He's 6 years younger than me. And he started Patriot Front 7 years ago when he was 20. He's been building it for 7 years. He's been extremely diligent, very rigorous. And to say I'm impressed is a massive understatement. I really strongly encourage everyone to go listen to him. In the meantime, we will be taking a listen to a couple of the things he has to say. I'm considering doing another episode this week where I just play Patriot Front clips, show their, activities, and listen to what Thomas Rousseau has to say. That's not going to be this episode. I'm going to play about 10 minutes of him speaking, but I'm considering, if you guys are interested, I might do a second episode this week where it's just me playing Patriot Front clips, because I'm guessing a lot of people are like me. You are aware of Patriot Front, but you don't really know all that much about them, and they're worth knowing about. They're very, very much worth knowing about. Real quick, before we get into those clips, ProudBoysUSA.com is back up and running. They recently won a court case from 7 years ago. They finally won it. And the Proud Boys are back. So I strongly encourage people to join an organization, whether it be Patriot Front. I think Patriot Front is possibly the best one out there currently, but no shade to any of the others. Join any of them. Find one that you like, and go join up. But Proud Boys are back, and that is good news. So I'm not going to play this clip. I am going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat, though. I think I put it in the description. I believe this link is in the description. I encourage you to go listen to this video specifically. This is a good starting point for an introduction to Thomas Rousseau and the Proud Boys, Patriot Front. It's 27 minutes long, so like I said, I'm not going to play this here, but really, really, really great video where I agree with absolutely everything he's saying. He's saying all the things that I think, but he's even more eloquent than me. He's younger than me. He's more eloquent than me. He's just as smart as I am. And he's got all the qualities of a leader and has actually acted on them and has been building this organization for 7 years. Again, impressed doesn't even begin to cover it. This is what we need. But here we go. A quick clip. We're going to take a listen to what Thomas Rousseau has to say. These are the goals of Patriot Front.
Is Patriot Front's goal. The goal of the organization is ultimately the establishment of representative national government across the continent. A government that upholds patriotic virtues among a citizenry that upholds social virtues. A state firmly rooted in the principles of natural law, and a people strong and resolute against any corruption. What does this look like in practice? Mass immigration must be halted and reversed with equally massive repatriation efforts. We uphold the immortal and prophetic words of Washington, who said that, quote, foreign influence is one of the most baneful foes of Republican government. As such, foreign elements must be extracted from this country, demographically, economically, socially, and legislatively. Not least among these is the Israel lobby, whose tendrils and adherents must be torn out root and stem, or the legions of dual citizens or NGOs exploiting our prosperity to woeful ends. It's not enough even to remove foreign influence, but to strengthen both the immunity of our government and the independence of our people, so that it never encroaches again. We must protect the sanctity of our families, not just in the womb, but within the institution of marriage, or in the establishment of a household. Likewise, we must defend American labor against multinational business interests that ship our industry overseas and undercut our workers in favor of foreigners who do not demand or expect the dignity that we do. The promotion and instillment of a culture of health and vitality among our nation's youth is paramount. Spaces must be created to encourage Americans to be drug-free, active, and educated in the principles of their culture. The truth and grandeur of our history must be returned to the forefront. The men who created this country and made it so great were only able to do so because of their nationalist principles. We must ensure that future generations are immunized to the vice and apathy which has permitted our social decline. The natural truth of race must once again be recognized in our legislatures, as it was by our founders and by numerous generations of famous American statesmen who followed them. A government which refuses to acknowledge the systemic, biological, and sociological impacts of this key human characteristic will be helplessly dysfunctional. The title of American, which belongs to us, is not granted by the stroke of a pen, but by the natural affiliation with the people of our nation. America was built by the diaspora of the European race, and its culture and forms of government were created with that in mind. Other nations have their states. We aim to have ours. We seek to change the lives, minds, and bodies of our countrymen, and through that we will create an organized and educated collective of men across the country, whose positive effects will radiate out through their families, communities, and ultimately their constituencies. If the government refuses to acknowledge the interests of the true American people, we will simply build one in the vision of our gallant forefathers that will. We must not forget Jefferson's words that, quote, whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. So that's what we seek to do. None of this is theory, mind you. We are not merely making promises for later fulfillment. We are actively engaged towards all of these goals today, through positive, peaceful, and productive organizing taking place across the country.
Again, just incredibly powerful speech. It's a quick, little 3-minute speech there, but notice how he is calling upon former American heroes for his ideals. There is a clip where he specifically addresses Hitler that I wasn't able to find for here. I wanted to play it, but to kind of summarize, what he has to say, he's simply pointing out that Hitler was German. Hitler is also dead, and the Nazis were defeated. And there's something, I don't mean to be insulting here, but there's something pretty pathetic about trying to organize an American revolution around a dead German leader. And again, I don't mean to be insulting by that. I have no issue with Hitler. I have no issue with people who like Hitler. But this is America, and we need to have American heroes. Like the fact that instead of aspiring to create something new, something better, something American, something now, clinging on to the past and something foreign and something that has been defeated, you can't compare the two things. There is I really appreciate that he calls upon American heroes, that he has a vision for America, a better version of America than we have today, and is not reliant upon an already defeated ideology and people group. He says it much more eloquently than that, but again, I couldn't find the clip. But also at the end there, he talks about how it's not just words. He is putting this into action, and he has been for 7 years. For 7 years, he's very deliberately been growing this organization, and he has been taking a lot of action that, again, I was not aware of. I saw some of their marches, but they're doing a lot more than just that. Let's continue to listen to him. But, man, this guy, again, the thinking seems to be on the same level as mine, which is already extremely rare and impressive, but then he's even more eloquent. He's even younger. He's got all the qualities a leader needs. I am blown away by this guy, truly. Another quick clip about why they don't take any outside money.
I think it's important that Patriot Front does not have an ability for somebody who's outside the organization to donate. For somebody outside the organization to donate a bunch of money, there'd be a lot of small-time donors, and that would be good, and I would appreciate that, and that would be in line with our message. But you would have the big donors. You would have people who want to donate thousands of dollars or even more. And then we would have the problem where obviously we have to use the money, because what's the point of taking it otherwise if you're not going to use it? And then if we use it, how do you avoid becoming reliant on it, and then dependent on it, and then subservient to it? And that would be the problem, because then you're not just subservient to the money, you're subservient to the source of that money. And then I could be planning the Independence Day action, and we have these men who have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on our efforts, and I need those efforts because that's where the flags are coming from. That's where the trucks are being covered. That's where the lodging site is being covered for, right? That's who's paying for all the metro cards. And then, they say, oh, well, we want to protect our investment. Why don't you show me that speech, Thomas? And then they say, oh, well, I don't like that line. Can you change that? Make that a little bit more investor-friendly to the men in the boardroom. And now the organization is no longer in the hands of its leaders. Now the organization is no longer in charge of the men who are actually downstream from those decisions. Because whatever happens in the action, I'm up front, it happens to me first. It happens to the guy in the cowboy hat first. And so that's because I'm making the decisions, I'm making them with the knowledge that I am immediately the first one, that things happen to if things happen. I don't want your money, I want your effort. I don't want the dollar in your pocket, I want the sweat of your brow. That's what I want. Every member of the organization who has a regular job, let alone a good job, makes way more than I do. I'm okay with that. Right? A lot of people come to me throughout the years, and there's ways, and they say, here's how you could monetize this, man. You could make so much money if you did this or if you did that. And I say, I don't, thanks. Thanks for the business advice, but this isn't a business.
Again, just having the discipline, having the understanding, he's been doing this again since he was 20 years old. Unbelievably impressive. How many others have fallen into this trap. You can name any right-wing influencer that has any significant following, Louder with Crowder and all this. Like, they're so clearly, they're GOP, they're MAGA, they're not radicalized to the degree they should be. They're not encouraging radicalization. They're encouraging voting harder and asking nicer. It's all things that are completely ineffective. And I do believe what he just described as a big part of that is because they are reliant and subservient to that money. And the fact that he has built this without any outside support and with the forethought to do that deliberately from the beginning, from when he was 20 years old. Unbelievably impressive. This guy, support Patriot Front, support Thomas Rousseau, apply to Patriot Front. They might not take you. They've got pretty strict standards. I'm not sure if I would get in if I applied. But don't let that be a reason not to apply, right? Go ahead and apply. See, he talks, I'm not going to play this clip here, but he does talk about his standards, and he goes, guys with beer bellies can join the organization, but they can't stay in the organization with a beer belly. Like, that has to change. You have to continue improving yourself. You can join imperfect. You don't have to be perfect to join, but you have to be on the road to perfection, right? So do not fall into the trap of like, I'm not ready. I have to do XYZ, before I can do anything that's actually productive. I have to get these things done before I do anything productive. No, go start being productive today. Go try and join an organization, whether it be Patriot Front or some other one, but organize today. Another short clip here.
In conservative rhetoric, you will often hear the phrase, "They're trying to divide us by race." This is an accusation often made against the identity politics of the liberal left. It is a perfect example of where race-blind conservatism departs from reality. Neoliberalism did not invent the concept of race. Conservatives often position themselves as students of American history. So let us look to what our founding fathers thought on the ties that bind a nation together. John Jay said America was one united people, a people descended from the same ancestors, speaking the same language, professing the same religion, attached to the same principles of government, very similar in their manners and customs. How many of these things can it be said that the modern populace of the United States has in common? We are not descended from the same ancestors as the immigrants which invade our borders. Scarcely none are from Europe, where our ancestors roamed. Those newcomers to our lands often do not learn our language and adorn neighborhoods and signs with their native lingo. They do not practice the faiths which hold tradition in our country, even if they are Christian. It is often of a variety culturally dissimilar. They are not only unattached to our principles of government, but they rigorously attempt to usurp them by their voting patterns. And lastly, they are far from similar in their manners and customs to us. If so many people in our once united America bear none of the attachments that our founders considered essential to the composition of the nation, it would be a lie against nature and good sense to call them American. Who was it who divided us by race in this country then? Is it contemporary nationalists and patriots pointing out how multiculturalism has bastardized the vision of our founding fathers? No, it was and is everyone complicit or compliant in the internationalization of America, the opening up of our country, our cherished birthright and homeland, to the world. This is what has divided America in a manner greater than any other. Who was it who divided humanity into races? I'll tell you. Nature itself, or nature's God if you prefer. A government can no better ignore race as a natural fact than it can ignore gravity. Shut your eyes to it, but it will remain. A final message of reason to conservatives who repeat this statement. Race is an immutable fact of life. You can either take the side of your heritage and your future, or you can follow in abject submission to those who wish to destroy it. The oblivious middle ground of race blindness is a historical fallacy, maintained only by very specific societal conditions which are rapidly disappearing, and we may never see their like again. Societal suicide is unbecoming of one who loves their family, their community, and their culture.
Again, ridiculously eloquent. Great, very short speech there. Did you guys know Thomas Rousseau before? I know everyone knows of Patriot Front. They are banned off of everything. Like, they have very little social media presence, if at all. And so I never knew his name before July 4th. Never heard him speak before. And I have been consuming his content like crazy since then in the past week. And everything I see from him, I am just more and more impressed. If I were the left, if I were Israel, if I were my enemies, this guy would be making me extremely nervous. This guy needs protection. I do not want to see what happened to Charlie happen to Thomas Rousseau. And this is a reason why you absolutely need to be joining an organization, because God forbid something were to happen to Thomas Rousseau. You need to already have a plan of action that you can execute in response, ready to go. And when I talk about the timeline, I've been talking about this timeline of 2 years. I want to be clear that that is a basically best case scenario timeline, and that is also not a timeline of, okay, we have 2 years until we need to start doing things. No, we have 2 years to make a very significant change within our culture and our society, and if we have not done so by then, the game is over, right? There is, the only way back at that point is through truly chaotic and mass bloodshed and full-on chaos in the street, civil war type thing, which I do not want to see. So organize today, unite today, stop attacking all of your brothers. I still see, it is nice that after the initial wave of everyone claiming feds on Patriot Front, I have seen a little bit more of a push for embracing them and for unity in general. But there's still so much infighting. Discourage that where you can. Do not participate in it. Unite with your white brothers, organize, and start planning to fight back. Did I want to play this one? I don't remember if I wanted to play this one. We're going to start to play this one and see if it's one of the ones I wanted to play. That might have been the last clip I wanted to play.
They're calling me a racist. Yes, they're calling me a racist, which is an irrelevant buzzword. It means nothing. It's an insult more than it is a label of political ideology. I'm a nationalist. I believe that race and nationality are intertwined, and government should respect the concept of the nation, which is a natural collective, just like a family is, in their terms of government. But I think, defining yourself by insults and meaningless labels is not only unproductive, it's incorrect, especially in my case. Maybe it works for other people, but not for me.
So there, you see him just very successfully waving away those labels. This is something that I understand well, but I struggle to articulate properly. But you cannot participate in these games. You cannot, and we're going to show an example of someone, not handling it as well in a little bit here. But the shirking of no, I'm not right. You don't deny it. The worst thing you can do is deny it or apologize from it or cower from it or act scared of those labels. That is the absolute worst thing you can do. His response is probably even better than my response, which is when someone calls you a racist in the street, Sieg Heil nigger. But it is either way, both are fundamentally a rejection of the label. It is, I do not care about your labels. I am not afraid of your labels. I am not going to cower to your labels. I am not going to allow your labels to dictate my behavior, right? This is the final.
Think of every attack made on the men of our brotherhood these last 9 years. Every slander, every threat, every lie, every kick, punch, and shove. Each set of gnashing teeth and screaming mouths. Where is the culmination of all these destructive efforts? What has it done besides affirm that we stand against evil? What has it done besides deepen our resolution but your deeds? The deeds of every man who has ever served our cause have brought you here today, have made many of the men before me who would be unrecognizable otherwise. We have shown our countrymen that defiance is possible, that there is courage within the men of our nation, and unity to put it to task. Today we reach them. Tomorrow it is our job to organize them. I've asked a lot of you men, and I am so sincerely grateful for every sacrifice made.
every bond held, every oath fulfilled, which I bear witness to. But I am merely a conduit for the demands of the age. I hold no hesitations in my high expectations for you all, because I know we will rise to the challenge. I have seen what you are capable of. I have seen firsthand how we can reforge the lives of our people and cast our spirit anew. This age demands sacrifice from all patriots. From every man who longs to see his people free, some give toil, some give treasure, and some give blood, but all must give. Ours must be lives of strife and hardship, lives of political conflict and embattled virtue, so our descendants may lead simpler lives. The hardship you bear is not your own. In service to the nation's cause, every hardship is taken from our posterity. It should be so. When we leave this world, we should be proud to hand down our legacy, and we have come very far, but there is much to do. Millions of our people live lives of despair and squalor. Countless tyrants remain stationed throughout the government with daggers aimed at the nation's throat. Millions of foreigners are burrowing deep into the institutions of our home. We will root them all out one by one and piece by piece, but we will need to be better. More organized, more disciplined, more united. Do we wish to hold this land for our descendants, more than they wish to take it for theirs? Prove it to me that you do.
Incredible line there. I mean, everything this guy says is just a more eloquent version of all the things that I've been saying. But let me rewind that and just listen to it one more time.
Do we wish to hold this land for our descendants, more than they wish to take it for theirs?
That is fundamentally the question that you must ask of yourself and of your brothers. Make no mistake that is the goal here. They do want you dead. They are working towards making a world in which you will be dead. So, do you want to preserve this country more than they want to take it from you? Do you want your children, your grandchildren to live in a free and comfortable world, a high-trust society? Or do you want them to be raped by invaders and killed and jailed for being raped, stoned to death? That is the Muslim way. You rape a woman and then you kill her for being, having extramarital sex, right? So, do you want to keep this land more than they want to take it from you? That is truly the question that will determine the fate of this country.
Prove it to me that you do. Feel the future of our country in your hands. Feel the weight of our destiny on your back. What we are doing has not been replicated. This was the largest nationalist march of its kind in the 21st century, and likely in a century itself or even more. We stand far above many of our contemporaries, but that means as well that we stand in uncharted territory. Our success may be unprecedented, but the challenges that await us will be as well. In the faces before me, I see the determination to persevere through it all. In times of success, we must spread and grow and deepen our ties, our influence, and all of our connections, so that in times of danger, we may dig in our heels, hold firm to our virtues, and give not an inch to those who would seek to erase us. I am so enormously thankful to stand beside so many of you, so many men who I have seen struggle for our righteous cause for years and years before me. I see so many men whose virtues have grown alongside our organization, and experience tells me that there is much to hope for yet. If I lived 1,000 lives, I would pray to be born an American in every single one, and granted the chance to lead men such as you. And it must be said that my leadership is constantly tempered with the humbling and sobering experience of the privilege that it is to bear the trust, faith, and respect of the best that our nation has to offer. In the early days of our organization, those first very much embattled years, it seemed at times that the vision rested only within my own heart, that any faltering could snuff it out forever. But not now. Far from alone in my custody of this vision for our future and what the organization has become. I see it reflected in the faces before me. We must be one seamlessly united organization. Our activists must always work with our lofty goals in mind. By a countless multitude of injustices, our future has been stolen, and by no less numerous...
Little internet issue.
efforts must it be reclaimed. Stand with me as I stand for you. Work with me as I work for you. Allow me to be your champion, and you all shall be my brothers. Great things lie ahead. Let's go take them. Thank you, gentlemen.
So, again, ridiculously impressed, incredibly inspired by this guy. I hope you guys are all too. I encourage you to go seek out his interviews, go listen to him even more. Even more than I encourage you to watch my streams. Like, go seek out Thomas Rousseau. He is seemingly just a more eloquent version of myself, along with all of the other qualities that separate him from me. This guy is extremely intelligent. I'm blown away. Let's see. Okay. So, on the Hitler thing, I really wish I did have the clip of him talking about it. But I hope you can understand that, like, trying to organize a movement to reclaim America around Nazism and Hitler, it is inherently not going to be a successful movement. You need to have heroes today like Thomas Rousseau. You need to call upon the heroes of the past like Washington, and our other founders and other American heroes. And like Washington, Thomas Rousseau is not going to save this country on his own. Washington may have been the guy, right? But like, how many other names, how many other generals and heroes of that time were there? He did not create America by himself. He was one of many heroes. And you need to aspire for those heroes to come again and to be American and to represent America. That is very important if you want to actually have an impact. And, I do support activism in general. So the people who do go out and wave swastikas, I'm not trying to shit on you by any means. I appreciate the efforts and any activity to get messaging out there and to show people that there are brave people who stand against the evils of wokeness and invaders, etc. Those are good, those are productive. I appreciate them, I applaud you for them. But if we want to do more than just have some demonstrations, if we want to actually correct the course of this country, it does need to be an American movement. And this is something that I was struggling with because, you have MAGA, you have Turning Point USA, right? And these things have been rather corrupted. I mean, obviously MAGA, many people have been broken out of the illusion that they're going to save us. They're obviously not. They are beholden to Israel and are not working in the interest of the American people. You have Turning Point USA, where after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, they immediately pivoted to the most radically Israel first organization you could possibly imagine. And so you saw me struggling, if you watched my earlier streams, with this idea of, like, even the American flag almost has a grossness to it. These symbols that we should be rallying around, they have an element of corruption to them. And so I was wondering, what symbols can unite us. And after watching Thomas Rousseau, rather than trying to find a new symbol, which is where I was going, I wasn't comfortable with it, but that is where I was going initially. No, simply reclaim the American flag, reclaim the symbols that we should be rallying around. And he does so. I appreciate that he flies the American flag upside down in a lot of his marches, because you're still going, hey, we're here to represent America, but America is in great distress. America is in a dire state. And so it's not exclusively the American flag, it's the American flag along with upside down American flags, along with Confederate flags. I get that's, slightly complicated, right? But it is moving towards a direction where we can be proud of the American flag again, where we can stand behind that and unite behind that symbol and fight for America and be patriotic in America. And so again, he's just doing everything I'm thinking, but even better. So I again, I'm not trying to shit on any of the people who are demonstrating with swastikas or anything like that, but I think it is a flawed approach. I appreciate the activism, but I do think we need to have an American movement. We need to have faith and belief in something better, something new, something for us. It's just my opinion. Okay, so the title of the episode is The Will of the People, right? And this is something that I've been trying to express, but again, not in the most eloquent way for a very long time. But this is such a perfect example of that. Here you have the woman, I'm sure you've all seen the photo. It is the thumbnail of this episode if you hadn't seen it before. But the Patriot in front on the train with the black woman who is a literal crackhead, who a few hours earlier, or even sooner than that, I don't know how close in time, but that same day was recorded doing this, pulling her ass out, taking a shit. I don't know exactly what the fuck she's doing. She's a crackhead. She's doing crackhead shit. And yet, when Patriot Front boards the train, all of a sudden, she is perfectly behaved. She's sitting there quietly and politely in her seat. No crackhead behavior to detect whatsoever. Why is that? Did they beat her into submission? Did they threaten her? Did they do any of those things? No, it was simply their presence. It was simply the imposition of their will on the world around them that brought her into line. I've been trying to express this concept from the very first episode, and I talk about brutality and things like that, and I do mean it, but I struggle to explain that ideally the fight never even comes. You don't even have to fight back against these people. You don't even have to defend yourself against this madness, because this madness never occurs in the first place if you properly impose your will upon the world. The world will just do what it should do, what you want it to do, if you properly impose your will. And that is exactly what we see here from Patriot Front. They don't shout, they don't attack, they don't defend. Nothing even ever occurs from this crackhead, because their presence is enough to impose their will upon the world. And why is their presence enough to impose their will upon the world? Well, because first of all, they have imposed their will upon themselves, which is a skill that most of us have lost. Our modern world is entirely designed to deteriorate our will, to not only prevent us from imposing our will upon the world, but to prevent us from imposing our will upon ourselves. The majority of Americans are obese. We have no willpower left. It has been stripped of us willingly. We have willingly given it up. We spend hours watching goy slop on screens. We eat the goy slop and fill our bellies and get fat and obese. We allow all of these things to occur around us without standing up against them. And our will is eroded little by little, day by day. COVID, wear the mask. Wear the mask that you know doesn't work. Stand on the stickers on the floor. Talk through the piece of plastic, but then step around the piece of plastic to then get your change back from the cashier. All of these things that we allow to happen, they erode our will as we give in to them. You must be able to impose your will upon yourself first, which is a very important thing that Patriot Front has done. Like I said earlier, you can join Patriot Front with a beer belly, but you cannot remain in Patriot Front with a beer belly. You must practice your willpower. You must practice imposing your will first and foremost upon yourself. While all these people shout that everyone's a Fed, everyone is a psyop, everyone is an enemy, they should be turning their attention inwards. They should be first imposing their will upon themselves and showing what a true patriot, whatever they believe, right, is by example. Lead by example. Impose your will upon yourself first, and then impose your will upon the world. And the best way to do that is by organizing with other Americans who are also imposing their will upon themselves and then upon the world around them. So hopefully that clears up a bit of what I've been talking about from day one, when I do talk about brutality. So, in a different situation, if Patriot Front wasn't on this train, if it was just an individual, it might have taken more than simply being present on the train to stop this behavior. Perhaps you would have to actually confront it. And if you are a visibly weak, physically and mentally person, if you are out of shape, if you are, voice shaking while you ask her, please don't shit in the subway, ma'am. Are you actually going to impose your will upon her? Is she actually going to listen to that? Is that then going to escalate probably to where you might need to defend yourself, right? So there are, in an ideal world, you would have a large citizenry of people who have first imposed their will upon themselves, who have gotten their lives in order, who are pursuing perfection and betterment every single day, who are not wasting their time with goy slop, who are not destroying their bodies with goy slop, who are, actually going out into the world, trying to turn it into the world that they want. Ideally, you would have that, and there would be no conflict. There would be no civil war. Your will would simply become. And if you had enough people with enough willpower who were disciplined enough, that is how it would work. We don't have that. Thomas Rousseau is working to build that, and that's fantastic. In the meantime, though, right, as you work on bettering yourself, as you work on strengthening yourself and your resolve and your bravery and your body, you should still be confronting things like this. And if you are alone, they likely are much more likely to escalate, and you do need to be prepared to respond with the appropriate level of brutality. But again, ideally, the goal should be exactly what Patriot Front achieved on that train. You are a large group who no one would even dare oppose, who no one even thinks about stepping out of line because they simply know that you are there. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And again, imposing your will. Here we have pretty great video here.
You're gonna have to get the. That's weird. No, it is. Why are there so many of you? You're gonna have to get the. That's weird.
If you can hear at the beginning there, it's kind of hard to hear, but if you can hear at the beginning there, she goes, "We finna have to get the fuck out of here." Now again, what is Patriot Front doing there? Are they exercising brutality upon these people? No, they're simply marching, and their presence, the niggers go, "We finna have to get the fuck out of here." Understand, again, if you don't have a large group like this, it doesn't mean you should be inactive, that you shouldn't be doing anything. No, you should still be fighting to impose your will upon the world. Again, first impose it upon yourself. I want to be clear here, as I was saying before. Don't listen to what I'm saying and use it as an excuse to remain inactive. Don't listen to me saying you need to first impose your will upon yourself and then the world, and then go, well, maybe I am, a little bit out of shape, or maybe I'm not where I want to be in my career, or, whatever reason you might have. Don't go, okay, well, I need to do that first before I can do anything else. You do, in a way, right? You do need to start working on those things today. Get off the internet, get in shape, get active, do things that challenge yourself, do things that better yourself, okay? But it's very easy to fall into the trap of like, okay, well, there's an endless list of reasons of why I'm not ready yet, right? I can't go out into the world and take action there because I haven't, perfected myself yet. You need to be working on perfecting yourself. You also need to be working on doing, right? Thomas Rousseau started Patriot Front at 20 years old. You heard him say he doesn't make a lot of money. It's like, do you think that absolutely every single thing in his life is perfect and has been since he was 20 years old? Or has he continually been on the path of self-improvement, of betterment, while also pursuing the path of changing the world? You can do both at the same time. Do not let one be an excuse for the other. But you also, don't be under the illusion that if you are a fat, stupid slob, that you effectively can go out and change the world, because you can't, right? But even if you are, go out and try. Also make sure you're working on yourself. But as she says, we finna have to get the fuck out of here simply because of their presence. Understand that this is how it works. We have allowed the weakest and whiniest amongst us. We have descended so far into this insanity because we have allowed the faggots and the troons and the obese, multi-colored, haired feminists impose their will upon us. I want you to stop and think about just how unbelievably pathetic that is. And I am calling out myself. I am calling out everyone. I am calling out everyone with this. We collectively have allowed the weakest, whiniest, soy boyist, betaist, faggotist amongst us to impose their will upon us. That must change. And if it does change, you will start hearing the invaders and the Jews and all of your enemies expressing opinions like this. We finna have to get the fuck out of here. The white boys have shown up. They're not fucking around. They're not even doing anything here. There is no brutality exercised here. Simply the brutality of their presence and the imposition of their will. Violence and brutality are very different things. Drew, I'm glad you understand it. I genuinely, I'm glad you understand it. I struggle to. I don't struggle with the thinking. I'm a thinker. I'm really good at thinking. I'm really good at understanding the world. I genuinely am very good at understanding how things actually work. Not what the experts say, not what the consensus is, but actually seeing how the world truly operates. I'm not so great at eloquently explaining it to others. Thomas Rousseau is. Again, I encourage you to watch him, but I'm glad you understand that violence and brutality are very different things. They absolutely are. They absolutely are. So, not going... what am I doing? What's going on here? There we go. I'm not going to play these clips, but I do want to just show them briefly. You can look them up on your own time if you wish. But some of the activism from...
We are here.
From Patriot Front, they are they're making an address at one of Florida's national springs to discuss the intertwined demographic, political, and ecological fate of the state. This address follows many showcased conservation efforts by activists across the state to remove trash and pollution. So they are, they're not just marching, they're cleaning up their rivers. They're talking about the diseases that lead to these issues and how to solve them. Everything about them, 10 out of 10, spectacular stuff here. Patriot Front is in Charlotte, North Carolina. What are they? They're there to make their presence known after Irina Zarutska's savage killer has been found incompetent to stand trial, and I believe the mayor is trying to pull down the mural of her, right? So they are protesting in response to that. Fantastic stuff. I know it's blurred, still difficult to watch there. Still very difficult to watch there. Censorship, it is already coming back. Again, the timeline that I've laid out is the timeline for the game over, right? So when I say that censorship in the next 6 months, I don't mean censorship will be starting in the next 6 months. I mean 6 months from now, the censorship will be fully implemented. It will be game over as far as censorship is concerned. Here is a mega thread, though, of accounts that have been suspended for posting Patriot Front material. Specifically, they do not seem to like the speech that I opened the show with, and a lot of people got banned for that. Frojax got banned mid-interview with Thomas Rousseau. But here's that long list of people who have been banned for sharing Patriot Front. The censorship is here. The censorship never left. The censorship never stopped, but they will be ramping it up in a very, very big way. So you need to organize and have allies in real life. You've got less than 6 months to find your group, to find your allies, to organize in a real way, in a personal way, IRL, not online, because online, it's not going to be an option in 6 months. All this shit's going to be gone in 6 months. You post about a white identity organization, that's not going to be allowed. Good luck. Good luck. So find your group now, organize now, find your allies now, and unite now. Do not wait. Even if you're fat, even if you're out of shape, even if you haven't read a book in 20 years, or whatever the fuck it might be. Oh, I don't make enough at my work, I need to get a better job, I need to have more security for whatever. No. Work on those things. Work on those things. Double your efforts towards those things. But get active, get organized, get united now. If they're going to kill your moderate position, you might as well embrace the extreme one. This one's not Thomas Rousseau, but they've got a very strong organization with a lot of strong people in it, strong leadership in it, for how small they are. And part of the reason why they are so small is because they are extremely rigorous with their recruitment. They vet people thoroughly. They, as he said, you can join with a beer belly, you can't stay in with a beer belly. Great organization with great people. Great message. Okay, moving on from Patriot Front a little bit. Another thing. Sorry, just laughing at chat. Another thing that I've been talking about from day one, something that I've understood, since I was a child, like on a personal level, I understood these games as soon as I've told the story about how I showed up one day to school and all of a sudden there wasn't a single black kid in school anymore. No more black kids. It sounds like a dream, right? No, I showed up to school one day and there were no more black kids. They were all African American now. This was in grade school, I think like 5th grade or something, right? And all of a sudden, every black kid is now African American. And I saw them gang up on people. And nothing too extreme, right? I'm not talking about stomping heads or anything like that, but there'd be a group of blacks. They'd go up to someone, if they use the word black, a white guy used the word black, like, no, you can't say that. That's racist. We're African American. And I watched as they went around, kid by kid, doing this and intimidating them and shutting down their speech. And each and every single person folded one by one. And they went, okay, you're African American. And they even did this to a teacher. I saw there was one white male teacher who tried to be like, no, you're black. And they, ganged up on him. And again, nothing insane. This was all just like words, not even like escalating to anything remotely crazy, but it didn't even have to. That was enough. These children, these fifth graders, were able to get a grown man to back down and apologize and, say, okay, I'm sorry, you're African American, whatever. And then they came up to me and they tried it on me. And I said, no, the fuck you're not. You're black. You were black yesterday, you're black today, and you're going to be black tomorrow. And that was the end of the conversation. They went, okay, I guess we're black. My will won, right? But I have understood this since I was a young child. And then in 8th grade, I understood this and what it meant for our society. Because obviously, this is, you allow people, the weakest and whiniest amongst us, to wield petty, tyrannical power. It's not good. But I understood that, this is the fate of our country in 8th grade when I was watching a Fox, there was like a panel, and I don't even remember what was said. Someone said something. Someone said a no word. And people on the panel were like, you can't say that. That's politically incorrect. And I watched as the entire Fox panel acquiesced to those demands. And I go, this isn't just my school. This is where the country is heading. If we do not stop this now, our entire nation will be destroyed. Our entire nation will be burnt to the ground, and nothing of America will remain unless we stop this woke bullshit. Woke didn't even exist as a term back then. It was politically correct. Right? And I genuinely don't understand why other people struggle so much to understand this very obvious and basic concept, but maybe this example will help. I hope this example will help. So I'm going to read this. Hopefully it clears it up really well. Let me get it on screen here for you fellas. Yes. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to remove myself. Here we go. Okay, it started a few years ago when I noticed my company never hiring other Indians besides me, of course. I called them racist to their faces, and the look of shame was shown through clearly. I asked them why they don't hire more Indians, even directly from India. They had no response, but I was placed on the hiring board for my team. After that, I greenlit every Indian name I came across on the resumes. Eventually, more and more Indians were hired at my company, and I got promoted. Calling white racist helped me indirectly get a promotion and help other Indians get hired. You have nothing to lose. Try it yourself. People will instantly have your back and support your claim. Right? So, again, it's so blatantly obvious. If you give the weakest amongst you the ability to wield petty, tyrannical power, you give them these labels that you acquiesce to, where you will back down immediately at the mere accusation. Well, don't call me. Yeah, we'll start hiring more Indians immediately. In fact, we're going to put you in charge of hiring. We will make you the new hirer. Of course they will abuse that. Of course they will take it to the utmost of extremes. There's no reason, as he says himself, you have nothing to lose. Why would they not do this? And they are inherently weak and whiny people, so they have no internal guardrails to prevent themselves from doing this. These aren't strong, principled people. These are the weakest, faggiest people amongst us, and we have given them this power. We allow them this power. Again, when I was describing how there's no black kids in school anymore, right? They came up to me. I go, no, the fuck you're not. You're black. You've always been black. You'll always be black. Get the fuck out of my face. And that shut it the fuck down. I did not allow them to control me. I did not allow the fear of the label of racism to dictate my actions. I did not flinch. I did not cower. And none of you should either. Again, the state of America now is because we collectively, and I'm not purely innocent of this either. I shared that example where I did good, right? But I've fallen short in my life as well. We all collectively have allowed the weakest and whiniest amongst us to impose their will on us and dictate our behavior through their words. That is unbelievably pathetic and shameful. We should all feel great shame that we have allowed that to happen. Do not wallow in that shame. Be motivated by it to do better. But again, we cannot allow this woke bullshit it cannot be tolerated in any degree. In any degree. When they tell you you can't say retard, that was where it started. I remember. It started with you can't say retard, that's offensive. And I said, get out of my face, you fucking retard. But we collectively have allowed this to take hold, and people thought, oh, it's just retard. That's not going to destroy America. Us removing retard from our lexicon isn't going to lead to the downfall of America. But it absolutely is. It cannot be tolerated to any degree. You must have the strength to stand up against that. And whether you do it with extreme eloquency, like Thomas Rousseau did, where he dismissed the accusations of racism, if you sieg hail nigger, if you just go, no, I'm just not fucking participating in this, whatever you do, but you can never flinch, you can never show fear, you can never acquiesce to it, you can never bend, you can never allow them to impose their will upon you, even in the smallest of ways. Okay, here's a good example of the difference between brutality and violence, hopefully. We're going to watch this clip. So a female British influencer gets triggered by some guys who said faggot, tells them it's offensive, and we're going to watch their reaction. They could have handled it worse. They could have handled it a hell of a lot better. And then at the end of the video, you'll see that she's fucking smoking hot. She is a beautiful young white woman. And I've repeatedly talked about how you must be willing and able to meet these beautiful young white women with the appropriate level of brutality. Now, brutality, in this case, does not mean stomping her head in. It does not mean violence, or at least ideally it does not mean that, right? But you do need to have the brutality to be unswayed by her bountiful bosom and her sweet words, right? So let's go ahead and watch this.
One of you said the F word. You shouldn't say that. Who said it? Yeah, that's the one. You just said it though, then. So you say that word freedom. Very derogatory term. Wow. It's really offensive to gay people. It don't matter if you work with them, there's gay people everywhere. Don't say the F word. It's a horrible word to say. Why do you say it? Are you not embarrassed? No. Really? Not embarrassed for saying the F word.
Right, so he's doing okay here. No, I don't care. No, I'm not embarrassed, right? He could be doing better. But let's see how his friend reacts.
Really?
People I work with say faggot. Other people I work say faggot. I don't care if people say faggot.
You see, he should have just stuck with I don't care, because then he starts trying to justify it. He's like, well, other people say it. No, this isn't. Don't ever justify yourself. Don't try and explain yourself. You must just reject it. How you choose to reject it, again, I leave that up to you. But you don't justify, you don't defend, you don't apologize, you don't explain, you reject, and you do so brutally.
TikTok's gonna love that. I think your job might be different, mate. It's a horrible term and it's so derogatory. I've got a job.
That's a little bit of a better response. Get a fucking job.
I've got plenty better to do. I'm waiting for my checks. Your mate's being like really horrible to give people. I just think it should be called out. You could lose your job over that, so be careful what you're saying. Are you saying it too?
I'm not saying it.
Right, so that first guy, not a perfect job, but a pretty decent job. I'm not trying to shit on that guy. He did a decent job of, reacting to that. But then this guy, he's like, whoa, I'm not saying, I didn't say. That is the exact response you cannot have. That only furthers this bullshit. Don't be this guy. Don't be this guy.
You just said it, mate. You're saying horrible terms. You shouldn't be saying the F word. It's horrible. Yeah. And you're all laughing about it, so you couldn't lose your jobs over it.
I'm going to lose my job.
Oh, aren't you?
What I'm saying is, yeah, fucking hard rather than holding your fucking phone.
Oh, really? Okay, why don't we laughing when you're hungry? Thanks. They're just casually...
We had enough of that to get the point, right? But I did want to show you her. You can't even see how big her titties are. They're big, though. They're nice. They're great. They're luscious, and they're good. She's a hot girl. She's a beautiful, young, white woman. And this is your enemy, and this is who you need to be able to be brutal towards. If you cannot muster the appropriate level of brutality to push back against this, our nation is fucked. Our nation is fucked. You must be able to be brutal to this woman. Now, that does not mean, again, that does not mean violence. That does not mean stomping this girl's head in. Brutality in a different context might mean that. If we're dealing with an invader who is, trying to rape a woman, then yes, you brutally stomp that invader's head in, right? Brutality means different things in different contexts, and it does not always mean violence. But you must be able to meet this with brutality. And that is a very, very difficult thing for a lot of young men. An extremely difficult thing for a lot of young men. This right here, beautiful young white women, is a large reason why we are where we are. They are a large reason why political correctness, wokeness, has taken such hold, is because you don't want to have that woman, you want her to like you. She's a beautiful young white woman. You don't want her to be angry at you and, telling you that you're, no, I'm not racist. Look, So just understand what I mean by brutality, and understand when I say that this is your enemy, this is what your focus needs to be. You need, not necessarily your focus, but you need to be fully prepared to meet this with brutality at any point in time in your daily life.
Yeah, I could give a fuck. I just said that. Did you not hear me? Oh, good one.
A little bit.
How did you hear about this movement?
I'm a racist?
No.
Okay, so you're a Nazi?
Yes.
Okay. You know you're making everyone here look bad. I've asked every single person.
I think everyone here
here
looks
if they're
awesome,
Nazis. Do
actually.
you think all these people here are Nazis?
No.
Right? So he took my strategy. He Sieg Heiled, That's an easy way to do it, right? It's possibly not the best way. Thomas Rousseau's approach might be better. It's also more difficult, especially depending on the situation and circumstances you're in. So again, whatever you're capable of, find what you're able to do and do it. As long as You are making sure you are never cowering, you're never flinching, you're never showing weakness to these people. Again, they are the weakest, whiniest, most retarded amongst us. Do not allow them to impose their will upon you. How pathetic must you be to allow that? And again, we've all been that pathetic. None of us are purely innocent in our entire lives. I guarantee you we all have examples that you could draw upon where you've fallen short. I know I can. Right? But just because you sucked in the past doesn't mean you have to keep sucking. Do not ever allow it to happen again. Whether you take this approach, where you just embrace it, that's fine. Whether you have an eloquent response like Thomas Rousseau, but it's very important you are not defending against it. You are not arguing or debating it. You are rejecting it or embracing it, but you are not being swayed by their words. You are not allowing them to impose their will upon you. It's a short clip, so I'm going to play the rest of this because it's pretty entertaining. I got a chuckle out of it. Let's go ahead.
Would you say that?
Definitely.
This guy's a Nazi. This guy's a Nazi.
This guy's a Nazi, and he laughs and he goes, yeah, right? See, that's effective. It's simple and it's effective. Any of you should be able to do that.
Just relax.
What do you think about that?
Can you calm down, woman?
Culture.
The other guy coming out going like, yo, chill out. We will fucking eject you. Right? It's a bit brutal. It's not that brutal, but it's a bit brutal. It's a little bit of brutal is better than no brutal, right? Everything in this video is great. This is a good example. And you notice how there's a group of them. It's much easier to maintain your composure. It's much easier to exercise brutality. It's much easier to impose your will when you are not alone. If you are alone, you still need to be doing this shit. But strive to not be alone. Find your allies. Find an organization to join. Create an organization yourself. Whatever. Find your allies and go out there and be unafraid and unyielding. So yeah, good. I haven't even watched this part. Whatever, I don't care. Good fun video there. You know, and
Hello, this is Hagen.
Again, you know, something I've been talking about is like, do what you can. Find your skill set, find your comfort level, go push that comfort level, go expand your skill set, right? But there is absolutely no reason for anyone who understands what this country is facing to be doing nothing. It's very easy to make excuses to do nothing. I talked about how, you know, it's easy to go, oh, I need to get my life more in order, and that can be an endless list before I go out and try and affect the world. You know, don't fall into that trap. You know, we see Patriot Front marching. Maybe you have applied. Maybe you got denied, right? Seek out another organization then. Or keep working on yourself so that you can get approved. But like also seek out other organizations or continue doing things on your own. But here's a good example of like the bare minimum that anyone can be doing and everyone needs to be doing. This type of thing matters. What I'm about to show you, this needs to be embraced and incorporated into your daily life. This needs to be what we are all doing at an absolute bare minimum, and anyone and everyone should be able to do things along these lines. I'm going to talk about it more, but let's go ahead and play the clip.
Hello, this is Hagen.
I live in Hamlet. We want a long sheets replacing on that area.
Unfortunately, we do not provide that service. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Bye-bye. Anytime I get a lead for landscaping, if they're Indian, I do anything I can to get off the phone because they're the worst fucking customers.
Right, so here, almost zero brutality exercised. I mean, unless you consider not doing a service, which is entirely your right and your choice to make, brutality, right? But it is just a simple unwillingness. He did it very politely, right? But again, this is like the bare minimum. It should go without saying, but like, don't support black-owned businesses. Don't go to restaurants owned by illegal immigrants. Don't, any way you can, separate yourself from these people and support your brothers. Keep money circulating within the white community. These are things that should just be a given already. Like, this you shouldn't even have to think about it. Shouldn't have to, psych yourself up to do it or whatever. It's like, this should be a bare minimum. And if you do have to psych yourself up to do it, like, start doing this. Again, start exercising that comfort level. If this is even outside of your current comfort level, you need to get your comfort level to here, at least at a bare minimum, real fucking quick. But then keep pushing that comfort level. Find what you can do and start doing it today. Do not make excuses, and again, this is a small thing. But how many times in your life have you maybe not done this? This is a small thing, and how many times have you perhaps let something like this slide, or whatever? Learn from it, get better. And if this is a small thing to you, great. I hope you're out there doing bigger things. If you're laughing at this and being like, oh, that's so insignificant, like, great. I hope you're out there doing much bigger things, and I hope you continue expanding your comfort level as well. It's everyone's at a different point, but we all need to be moving in the same direction. Okay. I've talked about the tranny menace a lot, and you look at this guy, obviously completely ridiculous. It's absolutely insane that someone like this even feels comfortable going to the gas station, much less anywhere else. We should not have a society that facilitates that. We should have a society that does not allow this, in the same way that Patriot Front did not allow the crackhead to act like a crackhead on the train. She knew better. This guy doesn't know better because we have fallen so far as a society. We need to bring a society back where he fucking knows better, right? But it's not just going to the gas station. If you remember the big titty woodshop teacher in Canada, your kids are going to school where this is their teacher. There are lawyers, high-profile lawyers who work high-profile cases who look very much like this, who are practicing lawyers in the courtroom, looking like this. It is entirely realistic that you could walk into your doctor's office and be face to face with Dr. Cuts-Off Dick here. That is beyond insane. And that must be clawed back. And there is a reason why, again, wokeism cannot be tolerated even in the smallest of forms, right? But the fact that not only are we tolerating it in the smallest of forms, but the fact that you could walk into your doctor's office and be face-to-face with Dr. Cuts-Off Dick, that is a level of insanity that's hard to even express. But that is where we are as a society, where we have allowed them to become. And this is there's an issue amongst the population in general. It's not just the woke. It is the right, and even the radical right as well, where we are so disconnected from reality and from truth and from goodness. We have accepted so much insanity. Again, as I was talking about, whittling our will down day by day, action by action, moment by moment. We have acquiesced so much that this is now normal and acceptable. And if you were to say, hey, I'm not comfortable with Dr. Cuts-Off Dick, now you're the problem. Not the fact that this is in a professional setting, much less any setting, right? Any setting, but much less a professional setting. You cannot allow a lie such as men can be women, something that is so fundamental. All right, I'm going to get this off the screen now. I've had enough of that. We've got, oh God, that's not any better. Jesus fucking Christ. Let's just look at the rhino for a minute. But you cannot allow a lie. In fact, why don't I just show my face? You cannot allow a lie such as men can be women to proliferate to any degree in our society and then expect that society to maintain their sanity on any other issue. We have descended into pure insanity in every imaginable way. Our will has been eroded in every imaginable way. And if you want to get that back, that simply cannot be allowed at all. That is one of the most, the strongest symbols for the deterioration of our country. One of the strongest symbols for the left. The woke have made trannies their champions and their warriors. The trannies are also organizing terrorist groups, right? Like I've spent many hours talking about this in my videos in the past, and I was hoping I could maybe make it a bit more eloquent this time, and I'm not sure I'm succeeding. But I do hope you are understanding that we need to bring back sanity in all areas of life, but it kind of has to start there. You cannot really achieve sanity anywhere else until that has been conquered. You cannot have men walking around as women, going into women's spaces, demanding that you accept them as the teacher of your children. And if you criticize it, you lose your job. You get punished. That must end before anything else can happen. It is such a fundamental lie. It is such a representation of this inversion of reality, this inversion of truth and goodness itself that the left represents, that woke embodies. It is the human embodiment of woke itself. It is a human avatar of woke. And so it has to be destroyed. It cannot be tolerated. It must be met with the utmost brutality. And unfortunately, we are going to go back to this demon here. Tennessee taxpayers, I know I talked about this last week, but Tennessee taxpayers pay $1.9 million settlement to fired professor who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. Things like this, the firing of our brothers, the persecution of our brothers for standing up against the invaders will not stop. The rewarding and the defending of demons like this who can do whatever the fuck they want and say whatever the fuck they want, and not only will they suffer no consequences, they will be rewarded for their evilness. That will not stop. That will not change until we destroy the tranny menace. And then again, there is a very real threat from the Troons as well, not only to our women, who they are absolutely predators of, not only to our children, who they are absolutely predators of, but also they are the most radicalized amongst the left, the most radicalized amongst the woke, and the most willing. They are all suicidal already. They are perfectly happy and willing to throw their life away for the cause as long as they can do damage to their enemies, you. So it is not only all of the things I just mentioned, but it is a legitimate threat that they pose. They shot up a school in Canada, and then they shut down the funerals for the children. The parents were unable to have funerals for their children because so many other tranny terrorists were making death threats. Yes, they are retarded. Yes, they are evil. Yes, they are, dysgenic and all of these things, but they do pose a real threat. On to Flock. On to Flock. On to the final topic of the night. This link is down in the description. I've got it highlighted right there, but I've put the link in the description. I encourage you to go check out that link. Want to speak at your next city council meeting about flock cameras or mass surveillance, but not sure where to start? We've put together talking points, research, facts, and other resources to help you prepare. Visit dflock.org/council. dflock.org/council. I do cheer on everyone who cuts down a flock camera. I do encourage people to do so, and I've talked before about how I really don't want to see children like on the streets fighting the invaders, fighting the woke. That is a job for the men. But hey, the youth used to get up to some mischief, and it wasn't such a bad thing. And it wouldn't be such a bad thing if the youth got up to a little mischief with the flock cameras again. That is something that I would encourage, and I would be behind, and I would like to see. And perhaps, I know 4chan is no longer holds the power of memes that it used to, but perhaps we could even somehow create a campaign to motivate the darker youth to participate in some of this activity as well. Manipulate your enemies for your benefit if you can. Why not? But it is not just Flock, right? It is, and this is part of that erosion of your will that I've been talking about. How many of you, I just recently went to the doctor a few weeks ago, and they had this thing that they wanted me to sign about how we're going to record you in the office, and then it very vaguely was like, we'll delete it at some point. We won't hold it forever, but we're not going to tell you how long we'll delete it for. We're not going to tell you what we're going to use it for either. Also, we can share it with people for whatever purposes we want, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, yeah, I'm not signing this. Like, I'm not, and it was just, okay. And moved on. If you guys travel, do you let them scan your face? When they go to scan your face, do you let them scan you? Do you walk through the machine? When you're checking out at a store and they ask for your email and your phone number, do you provide that every time? There are so many of these things that they've become normal now. Oh, you want to use this app, like you got to log in through Google, everything has to be connected. Are you in any way resisting any of these things? If you are, great. But if not, you need to be. You need to be reading these agreements that you are agreeing to. You need to be questioning policies. You need to be offering pushback. You need to not just go along with everything that everyone else is doing. Start imposing your will upon yourself and upon the world around you. Do not allow them to erode your will. Do not give in to these little things, because they lead to bigger things. Does that make sense, right? We do need to be fighting Flock, and cutting them down is great. You also need to be going to your town council. You need to be active. If you can, get involved in local politics. For real, this show is called PolitiGoob, and I spend exceptionally small amounts of time actually talking about politics because, as I said earlier, the MAGA movement, that's fully corrupted. The GOP, it is not fighting for our interests. It is not working on our behalf, right? And so to a large extent, I do view it as like a waste of time. I do view it as, why would I even pay attention to this stuff? It's kind of got nothing to do with me. MAGA has nothing to do with me, right? But that doesn't mean you should completely abandon politics. You can make a difference on a local level. You can, a lot of these local elections, oftentimes positions don't even have anyone running for them. You will win by default if you simply sign your name, right? So do get involved in local politics, whether that means becoming a politician or it just means showing up to your city council and speaking. If it means gathering data, from Flock through FOIA and state information laws and presenting it to people, As this next tab, this one will show you, right? This lady spoke at her town council and about Flock, and the audience, which I assume like didn't come with her, they're like, these are just the people there. They start clapping, they start chanting, vote them out, vote them out, vote them out, which they didn't like. They tried to then arrest her for inciting, whatever, I guess inciting a chant is illegal now, which she didn't even do. They started the chant on their own after her speech. But yeah, why are they fucking with her? Why are they trying to arrest her? Because her speaking there makes them uncomfortable, makes them afraid. The chanting of their constituents, these people are people. They are also cowards. Like most people, you can apply pressure to them. You can make change. And even if they double down and they refuse to ignore this and they don't do anything and they just double down with the flock, okay, it's still better than doing nothing. And now you can also feel fully justified in going out and cutting those things down, fully justified in, dealing with tyrants when they behave tyrannical. So get active in any level, in any way that you can. What were these other tabs? Right, so I showed this last week. I actually looked into the story a bit. So the cop shows up telling her, you can't even get a breath of fresh air without us knowing about it in this town. It wasn't even her. It was a totally different car. She was charged anyways. She's like, I've got my own ring cam footage. I've got a dash cam in my car. I can show you where I was at this time and show you that I was not where you say I was. And the cops, no, I already know the case, right? She was guilty until proven innocent by Flock, by the police. Despite her evidence, they refuse to look. And it's insane that she's even, having this conversation in the first place. The cops coming up, intimidating her, trying to put her in jail, take away her freedom due to an error by Flock. I've had not the same, it wasn't that severe, but I've had a similar thing happen to me years ago. When I was living in Washington, I was getting letters from one of these fucking piece of shit companies that are enforcing our laws they're private companies. It's insane that we have private companies going, hey, you need to pay this ticket or we'll take you to jail. They're not law enforcement. They're private. It's fully insane. But anyways, I was getting tickets for some car in fucking New Jersey. And I was getting this every fucking week. And yeah, it was a massive hassle. It was a massive pain. I had to call them up. They fucking hated me because I'm like, you guys are pieces of shit. That this keeps happening. Fix your fucking system. We've established this isn't my car, but I have to call you up and spend an hour on the phone with you every fucking week. So anyways, yeah, this stuff is... What if she didn't have that extra footage? What if she didn't have a dash cam in her car proving that this wasn't her? The cop certainly was convinced that it was her. He goes, hey, it's set in stone. There's another case, a guy got arrested for entering a casino after AI had mistaken him for someone else who had been banned from the casino. The guy had 3 different forms of identification. He had a CDL, he had, et cetera, et cetera. The cops looked at all of this. Still, he was arrested. He was charged. They go, well, the AI says it's a match, so it's a match. So these are fake. I think he was charged with forging documents, even though they were legitimate, verified, from the DMV documents and all of this stuff. Ultimately, I believe his charges were dismissed, but it was guilty until proven innocent. The AI told us so. We have you on camera. The flock told us so. You must be opposing this in every possible way that you can. You cannot allow this to creep in. Once this has happened, it's fucking over, fellas. It's fucking over. Or at the very least, the only way out is through a massively bloody, civil war type thing, which none of you should want. Here's Flock's information. They mapped us, now we're mapping them. Again, they are human as well. they will feel pressure if it is applied to them. The flock people are quite delusional, so their delusion might protect them to some degree, but you apply enough pressure, they're gonna feel it. Apply pressure. Vote them out, vote them out. Flock camera in concrete. Another way to potentially fight back against these things is that, like, the installations are often, it seems, illegal. So this guy is talking about how if you look at that light pole, it's got a slip plate. It's not bolted straight into the concrete. That way, if someone drives their car into it, the accident is less severe, less lethal. This, however, is just straight into the concrete. There is no slip plate. This is an illegal installation. This goes against that location's own codes, right? So you can potentially try and get them removed because they're simply installed illegally. Whatever. Take whatever angle you want. Take every angle you want. Do anything and everything you can to fight back against this. We cannot allow this to become any more entrenched than it already is. We need to roll it back significantly. You remember COVID. I remember someone in my neighborhood had their parents come to visit them, and another neighbor called the fucking cops on them. And the cops showed up and say, hey, you can't be doing this shit. So remember, I know people really don't seem to be able to remember this stuff clearly, but remember COVID, and now imagine it with a fully realized surveillance state, right? Imagine trying to march as Patriot Front or organize anything with a fully realized surveillance state. It's not going to happen, or at the very least, it's going to be a fuckload more difficult, especially when they can just manufacture any charges they want. Hey, the AI told us you're guilty. Bye. Florida is rolling out AI-powered cameras on its garbage trucks to scan properties for code violations, unpermitted renovation, and other issues. After installing flock cameras on poles, the city is now adding mobile surveillance from trash trucks to monitor homes and yards. Yeah, it's not just flock. Flock is just, I'm using it as a catch-all term to describe the surveillance state. In general, you need to oppose flock being the entire surveillance state. There's a lot more than just flock going on, though. Is bad. It's already at a very critical point, and the rolling out of these things is happening very rapidly, and it must be opposed thoroughly. Meet the Flockers executive team. If Flock Safety loves transparency, they shouldn't mind everyone knowing exactly who converted our neighbors into data farms, right? The surveillance state didn't build itself, and their names are at the bottom here. Is there any other good information? It doesn't really look like it, but here's another couple. Co-founder Paige Todd and Chief People Officer Richard Taylor, VP Machine Learning Matt Fury, co-founder and former CTO. So apply pressure to these people, and not just Flock, all of these companies. Apply pressure to all of them. This is funny, but also terrifying. A lot of stalking allegations from cops, but this family, okay, let me just read this. It is a crazy story. Milwaukee sent an internal affairs detective to investigate a cop caught using Flock surveillance cameras to stalk his ex, but the same internal affairs detective has now been charged with using the same Flock cameras to stalk people himself. He even planted a GPS tracker on the victim's car. The investigator was the abuser. The same man they trusted to catch the stalker cop was allegedly running his own stalking operation the entire time. His name is Detective Tarangi Chapman. That's a nice white name, isn't it? Tarangi. In December, Internal Affairs assigned him to investigate Officer Jasu Ayala, another beautiful white name there, who used the department's flock license plate cameras over 200 times to track his ex-girlfriend. Ayala pleaded guilty. He's sentenced next week. Just 2 months into that investigation, an anonymous call came in. Someone was terrified that a detective was digging into their family's personal information and had planted a GPS tracker on their car. The victim was so afraid of what a cop could do to them, they refused to even say his name. The audit found Chapman, the internal affairs detective, had run that victim's license plate through the flock camera system 17 times, pulling 17 reports on their family going back 6 years. He searched another person's plate 3 times in a single day, and when the system required him to log a reason for every search, he typed test and training. Prosecutors says he admitted to all of it, including the flock tracking, the GPS device on the car, all of it. So, do you not think they'll do this to you? Do you not think they'll do this to Thomas Rousseau? Do you not think that you will also be afraid? I'd be fucking afraid if this was me. Would I allow the fear to stop me? I don't know. I'd have to be in that situation to find out, quite frankly. But it's certainly going to impact me and affect me and cause fear and hesitancy. And it'll do the same for everyone else. They will watch you everywhere you go, and you commit a felony every fucking day, fellas. I promise you, you've committed a felony this week. Multiple of them, right? You find the man and I'll find the law that they broke. That will be this. But even if somehow you didn't, they'll just make it up. The AI told them. And so now you're arrested, and now you're guilty, and now you have to go through the punishment. Even if you're ultimately found innocent, how much money did you waste on lawyers and court fees? How much time did you have to spend in court? How much time did you have to spend in jail? How much did you have to pay for your bail? This cannot be allowed. I didn't fully finish making this point earlier, but the level of mental illness that has taken hold in this country, it is affecting all of us. We are all so greatly separated from reality and truth and goodness. None of us are nearly mad enough at the things that I'm describing here. What I'm describing, what is being done, is so unbelievably insane, but we have been surrounded by this insanity for so long. It's essentially impossible to actually have a sane reaction to these things. Our world is so insane, it's legitimately not possible to be sane within it. Our perspectives are also skewed. We have accepted so much for so long that we can't even process and respond appropriately to just how evil and insane these things are. There never should have been anyone accepting that troon that I showed you earlier walking around in public. But we've gotten to a point where that could be your fucking doctor. That could be the teacher of your children. We are all insane. We are all living in a world of delusion and cognitive dissonance, because it's simply not possible not to with how insane everything's gotten. But we need to be working on that. We need to become less sane. We need to start exercising our will, making ourselves better, making the world better. Woman is driving, eyes on the road. She's got her phone face down in her lap, no hands on it. $1,200 ticket is automatically generated and mailed to her doorstep. And then again, this is a private company. A private company, but if she doesn't pay the ticket, she gets arrested by the actual police. Fucking insane. $12,051 ticket for having your phone in your lap. This is Flock. Again, do you think they're not going to weaponize this against people like Thomas Rousseau, against people like you? Are you successfully going to be able to resist all of these efforts? And even if you are, how much time and effort are you wasting on that instead of righting the wrongs of the world? We cannot allow this shit. Cannot allow it. Whatever, I don't care about this one. A company called Axon is creating a surveillance camera that can turn every street light in America into a system like Flock. I'll go ahead and post this in the chat. You guys can read it. It's fucking insane. It really make Flock look like amateur hour. Again, the like, it's truly hard to comprehend. One, how quickly this surveillance state is being rolled out, and two, what it's going to look like in the very near future. 1984 doesn't even do it justice. You know, all of these dystopian novels and stuff, they don't even do justice to what is going to be happening in reality. It will be even more insane than that by orders of magnitude. Axon is so much worse than Flock. Read that. I posted it in the YouTube chat. All of this needs to be opposed. Every little thing, you know. And earlier I was talking about like giving your phone number when you buy something at a store, giving your email. Are you saying no to that? Are you asking, why do you need that? Like, are you resisting those little things? Because we're here, we have Axon because people didn't. Because everyone just went along with that. And there was an attitude from most people of like, dude, just give them your phone number. Like, why are you being difficult? This is why you be difficult. Be as difficult as you possibly can be. Be as non-compliant as you possibly can be. All of it. Read the agreements you're signing. Disagree with them. Don't sign them. Don't give out your information. Protect yourself. Protect your country. Stop this shit. Nick thinks people who destroy flat cameras are dumb. I have been very, very strongly talking about unity, very strongly talking about not counter-signaling, not attacking people who are your allies or your potential allies. I've watched Thomas Rousseau, and he chooses not to attack Nick, and I applaud him for that. And perhaps he is a better man than me. It takes a lot for me to actually label you as someone who is an enemy, and I don't know if Nick is an enemy intentionally or unintentionally, but I do call him an enemy. He is everything he says is against the interests that we actually have. Everything he says is, he is a smart guy. And so I do understand why some people are fooled by him, why some people believe he is doing good. But what has he accomplished in all of this time? He's gathered a lot of donations. He's stopped some Republicans from getting elected. And he's shit on literally every single positive movement that the white race has had. I don't call him a Fed, but I do call him an enemy. You have to be really fucking bad for me to condemn you, because again, I have a lot of leeway. I understand there are parallel avenues that can be pursued. The people who are in Patriot Front, not every single person needs to be doing that exact same thing. There are ways to be productive that are not the ways you're going to choose. And a lot of these things, Patriot Front alone is not going to save this country. I hope Patriot Front does save this country, but if they do, it's not going to be just because of Patriot Front. It will be because of other groups. It will be because of other people pursuing other actions. It'll be because of our return to the land and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they all aid each other by, as long as they are willing to fight our enemies, willing to stand against the invaders and stand against the woke. That is my litmus test. Are you willing to, and I don't mean complain on the internet. I mean, are you willing to stand against the invaders and stand against the woke? Stand and fight against our enemies. I do not care if you are Christian. I do not care if you are pagan. I do not care about anything else except, are you, my white brother, willing to stand and fight and offer resistance against the invaders and the woke and the Jews? If yes, you're my ally, you are my friend, and if you're taking a different avenue, a different route than you do, there's so many fucking Goldilocks extremist right-wingers. The right-wingers, man, everyone has to do exactly what I say and what I think. My porridge is too hot. My porridge is too cold. And anyone who's not just right is my enemy. Those people are retarded. Those people are retarded. They're not helping the cause. So as much as I dislike disavowing and, calling people who should be our ally our enemy, Nick is very much our enemy. Just putting that out there. Also, final point before I head off, a little Iran stuff. I don't talk about this at all. Again, it's PolitiGoob. I don't really talk about politics because, this isn't what we can affect. We can't really do anything about this. We can take to the streets and impose our will upon the world around us. We can make our community better. We can prevent the crackhead from acting like a crackhead if we organize and impose our will. Those are things we can change, which is why those are the things I talk about. We can't really do anything about this, but I do have one point that I want to make, which is that, again, the timeline I've been describing is the best case scenario. The timeline I've been describing is how things will play out, assuming that things remain as they are, right? So, but we do have Iran and we have Israel saying, oh, Iran's gonna kill the president and all of this stuff. And so, I can't see the future. I can build extremely reliable mental models of the world. I can give you that timeline and it will be accurate. Unless, what if Israel does kill Trump and blame it on Iran? That fucking changes things. This timeline could be accelerated significantly. The timeline I have laid out is a best case scenario for the end of the game. Again, making that very clear, 2 years is not how much time you have until, okay, I guess now I need to start getting active. 2 years is how much time you have to make a substantial change within our culture and our society, or else the game is over, right? And that timeline can be accelerated. The 6 months for censorship, the 1 year for the surveillance state, the 2 years until game over, all of that is best case scenario with things staying as they are now. But things can change. One, we can change them by imposing our will. We can extend that timeline, we can change that timeline and turn it around, but only if we start imposing our will right now. But it can also be accelerated with external events like this. I can't account for that. I don't know what will happen. So do not wait. One, don't wait until 2 years, assuming this doesn't happen, and then go, okay, time to get after it. No, too late. Game is over. Game is over. You lost. Right? Get active now, but don't even allow yourself the little bit of, leeway. There's no leeway here, right? But someone might interpret it as that, and go, well, I've got 6 months until censorship, so I'll wait, until then to join a group or whatever it might be. You might not even have that. Anything like Iran, Israel killing Trump or whatever, other shit can happen that can affect that. So go listen to Thomas Rousseau. Join an organization. Fucking join an organization. Join an organization. Apply to an organization. Apply to Patriot Front. They've got quite the backlog, so it might be a few months till they get back to you. Don't wait for a response. Apply to somewhere else. Start your own organization. Knock on your neighbor's doors and find your allies. That neighbor down the street who's flying the American flag, the dude who's got the "Don't Tread on Me" bumper sticker. Go knock on his door and talk to him. Maybe show him, hey, whatever, I've got this Thomas Rousseau July 4th speech. I wanted to show, I don't know, I'm a fucking autismo, so don't take my advice on how to make the approach, right? Figure that out on your own. But go make the approach. Go find your allies. Find them locally in your neighborhood if you can. Find them nationally with a large organization like Patriot Front if you can. Find them anywhere and everywhere you can and unite with them and organize with them and plan and impose your will upon yourself. Make yourself better. Make yourself the best version that you can be. Be physically and mentally strong, so when you do get confronted by the crackhead on the bus, or you do get confronted by that beautiful big-titted blonde girl, that you can react appropriately. That's all I got for this week. If you do, leave me a comment on YouTube if you do want a second episode where I just play Patriot Front videos. I will download all the Patriot Front content I can find, and I will make a second episode sometime this week if it is, and I might do it even if you don't have interest, because I think that people should see it. I hadn't seen a lot of it, and I cannot overstate just how impressed I am with Thomas Rousseau and even other members and the organization as a whole. So I think I might do that, but that's what I got for you this week. Peace out, fellas.